So we have a big drop of information. I'm going to be reading through the director's letter that is going to explain all the brand new systems coming in Monster Hunter Wilds very, very soon. So we get the introduction, which is essentially a thank you to everyone for all of their feedback, and they assure us that they are continuing to work on that feedback to deliver us an enjoyable and satisfying gaming experience. So we greatly appreciate your patience. I mean, it's just good to see. It's really good to see that the devs still care about the game. They're actively working on our feedback. So yeah, hopefully a lot of what is further down this article, we're going to start to get into some juicy details. So the expanded endgame content. So this is the update that was supposed to be in Title Update 3, but we're now getting it pretty much tomorrow. As a new set of high difficulty quests, 9-star monsters will start appearing when you are HR 100 or higher. So turns out I was wrong. I assumed the new level of difficulty would be some kind of modifier like Frenzy, and I pretty much actively said I doubt 9-star monsters would be a thing based on the improvements and buffs that were given to 8-star monsters. With that in mind, these things are going to be very, very difficult. I mean, 8 stars already put the work on you, so I can't imagine what these are going to be like. So yeah, tempered 9-star monsters will begin appearing in locale, and it will be the 9 featured here. So basically the Apexes, the Title Update monsters, and Gormagala and Arkveld as well. For veteran players who have experienced endgame content in previous Monster Hunter titles, we understand that the difficulty of tempered monsters at launch may have felt lacking. Therefore, starting with TU2, we introduce a system for more detailed monster parameter customizations, as well as other adjustments to ensure a challenging and rewarding experience. So very interesting. The active acknowledgement that, you know what, the game probably was too easy. I always said the game was probably like that in order to adjust for new players, but hand in hand with that, and they are acknowledging it, that did come at the expense of the experienced veteran players. So we're in a good place now. It's very positive to see the acknowledgement of their wrongdoing prior. Okay, point number 2, we're adding the Glowing Stone Appraiser item as a quest reward for quests with 9-star monsters. So what does this mean? Upon quest completion, the Glowing Stone Appraiser item, a quest reward for quests with 9-star monsters, will transform into an appraised talisman with randomly assigned skills. So this is going to be our RNG system, and this is going to be how we get the talismans. So if you want this next level of power, you're going to have to go take on the most challenging content in the game. Unlike other talismans which can be crafted and upgraded at the smithy, appraised talismans cannot be upgraded, so what you get is what you get. However, they can be randomly granted not only armor skills, but weapon skills and decoration slots, allowing for more customization and experimentation with builds. We hope this leads to more engaging gameplay and encourages hunters to try different weapons and armor based on the talismans they obtain. Now when they mention weapon skills, I wonder if they mean the inbuilt skill that comes on the weapons you craft, or if it more so means, or if it's talking more in line with how skills were separated with what can be slotted into armor and what can be slotted into the weapons in terms of decorations. Now, if it is the former, and it's strictly talking about the inbuilt weapon skills, then we have a very interesting system on our hands. This could result us being back to square one. Nothing will really change, damage will be the primary focus, we'll have to see. They're then going to say, additionally we recognise that endgame content early after the game's release was slightly skewed around Arkveld. Maybe a little more than slightly, but we get the point. This combined with the fact Arkveld is relatively resistant to elements resulted in limited opportunities to try out diverse builds. Diverse builds has been my main point of criticism since game launch. There's multiple videos where I've spoken about that. In response, we have adjusted the difficulty, average hunting time, and rewards for each of the 9-star monsters being added in an effort to ensure that all monsters offer balanced rewards fitting with the effort spent hunting them. We encourage you to select your hunts based on your own individual skill, equipment, or needs and enjoy the challenge. Cool, so basically meaning every single 9-star monster is going to offer you the same adequate reward for the challenge that you're facing. So hopefully that means you're not going to just be fighting Arkveld or Gormagala, and instead every single monster here being added as 9-star are going to be viable for you to farm. Okay, 9-star monster adjustments. In light of the addition of 9-star monsters, we've lengthened the duration of meal effects so that they're less likely to expire if the hunts go on a little long. So a bit of quality of life there. We also raised the upgrade limit for armor of rarity 5 and above, so players can squeeze more defense before they go up against these challenging new monsters. So make sure you've got armor spheres, it's time to upgrade your armor even further. Additionally, from HR 100 and higher, Raidao and New Uja will now appear in the Wounded Hollow, and each region's apex predator will be more likely to appear, even with that region is not experiencing an inclemency. That's actually very useful, because normally the only chance of you fighting a Raidao, for example, is during the giant thunderstorm in the inclemency weather. But now with this, no matter what season, all the respective areas are facing at one given time, you always have the opportunity for them to be spawning on your maps. This should mean less need to constantly go into the tent and reset. As mentioned previously, TOS Update 3 will see the gradual introduction of 9-star monsters in event quests as well. We're also adjusting the strength of support hunters, just some minor amends. We apologise that the timing of these adjustments are in stages and come after the implementation of the monsters themselves, but we hope you understand that this is the result of expediting the monster implementation. Kind of acknowledging the drip feed kind of sentiment the community has been sharing lately. I mean, at the end of the day, we're getting content much sooner, so I'm not complaining. In order to diversify the lineup of quests, we are working to make it possible for Lagiacrus to appear in the Wounded Hollow, as well as other additions such as more hunts targeting packs of monsters. We are also implementing adjustments to improve gameplay convenience, such as preventing monsters from spontaneously destroying pop-up camps and resetting the cooldown for mantles upon beginning a quest. Finally, we also assure you that any new monster added in TOS Update 3 will also feature 9-star difficulty quests. We're back to the whole plural monsters, eh? I wonder if it's more than one after all. Either way, good to know that whatever does come in TU3 is immediately going to be able to streamline its way into this brand new endgame gameplay cycle. They're not going to be one and done, they're going to have value. We hope you look forward to the new content since Update 3, and that in the meantime you can enjoy the new additions from version 1.021 to strengthen your equipment and collect appraised talismans in preparation for the challenging hunts ahead. I mean, all very positive. Of course it does depend on how the game feels when this patch launches, but from what I've just read, not many complaints. Weapon balance changes. As previously announced, we have been planning balance adjustments for 5 weapon types. However, in the end, we expanded the scope and will be implementing adjustments. Here are the effective weapon types. I've immediately seen Longsword, and I am praying we get the input delay fix, as well as some buffs to try and counteract the current spam combo we've been getting. In previous updates, we aimed for greater diversity in hunting styles and equipment builds, including equipment with elemental properties. We performed balance adjustments, including some downward adjustments, to ensure no single strategy was overly effective against monsters introduced later on. However, this resulted in some hunting styles becoming less viable and certain weapon types experiencing lower than intended viability. We apologise for the results and that we did not communicate our balancing intentions clearly enough. Again, more accountability. They've explained to us what they were trying to do, acknowledged it hasn't worked, and effectively have apologised. Overall, I haven't heard too many issues on the whole viability side of things. I know Hammer has been a key example which has now recently been fixed. I don't know if they're more so referencing that side of things, or straight up if they do mean, because of course Elemental was mentioned here, but we all know the main meta of Monster Hunter Wilds has been those paralysis or sleep builds, so maybe it's more so in terms of that. Okay, so revisiting downward adjustments. So there's a few weapons here that I assume they nerfed, but they're now going to be readdressing. I'm going to slowly scroll through all of these changes. Feel free to pause if you want to read them yourselves. Okay, other weapons. We will perform some upward adjustments for weapons like Greatsword and Insect Glaive as well, which previously have not been the subject of balance changes. For Dual Blades, we focus on improving usability, such as making Demon Boost Mode easier to maintain and making Focus Strikes easier to use. In particular, based on player feedback, we added a Focus Strike action which can be chained into others that provides an option for continuing attacks without changing your position. So there's an example here. So with Dual Blades, one of the annoying things is when you break a wound, you would do the whole Beyblade spin across the whole monster's body and end up in a less than ideal position because you're now, on the complete polar opposite side of where you're trying to be. We've implemented upward adjustments for each weapon type, focusing on expanding player options. We encourage hunters to try each of the weapons out again after the update is live. That makes me sound like a lot of the changes may be bigger than we thought. Details on the adjustments made for each weapon type will be included in our guild reports on our official social media accounts, so please check the reports for more information we aren't able to share here. Alright, let me see if I can find those real quick if they're already out. Okay, I have found the patch notes. and reduce the delay between input and action when chaining into ISH from special sheath. Additionally, slightly extended the window for performing the IS Spirit Slash. If I am not mistaken, the input delay issue is gone. I mean, there's no other way to interpret this. This is the only patch note we had, and it just is that. In fact, let me tweet that real quick. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, by the way. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to read the other weapon patch notes in more detail. Alright, here's a big one. Efforts to improve gameplay stability. We'd also like to touch on our efforts to improve game stability, particularly for the Steam version, in response to numerous player comments. So there's some general bug fixes here, but CPU usage optimization for the Steam version. I've just read through this section. It's basically a recap of what's already happened in Title Update 2, but future plans. In general, increasing the native frame rate will also increase CPU usage. If the frame rate limit is set to unlimited or high value in the options, CPU performance will be maximised in the attempt to increase the frame rate, which may result in very high CPU usage. Please adjust your graphic options to limit frame rate in accordance with your hardware specs. So this is basically just saying, you know, if your PC is struggling to run Wilds, turn down your settings, which I don't think many people will be happy about. Of course it's true, it's a fact. But yeah, let's move on. We're aware that some players may be concerned about the potential strain on their PCs, particularly those using CPUs known to have stability issues. On the other hand, as making changes to CPU processing could affect the game's overall performance, we plan to proceed with caution. Capcom, talk to me, you're not saying a whole lot right now. In regards to CPU load reduction, we plan to address this issue in the 4th title update scheduled for winter. Once the initial implementation is complete, we will proceed with a second stage of further mitigation measures. We will also address GPU load reduction in a similar manner. We will continue to work on improving the game's stability so that more players can enjoy the game on PC with peace of mind. Thank you for understanding. So, in conclusion, this is something on their radar, they're continuing to work on it, but from what I've just read here, I don't think there's anything coming soon enough to put people's mind at rest. Effectively, it's an ongoing thing, and Title Update 4 is going to be higher focused towards the issue. Honestly, it's a little disappointing reading this just because I know all of that other positive stuff we went through already might end up being overshadowed by this specific section. Again, for those of us who don't struggle to run the game as is, it's really a non-issue, but of course for many, this is the biggest problem area, so we'll have to see. So then we have a looking ahead section. So basically just a general sentiment at the top to say, you know, thank you for all your feedback so far. They're continuing to work on it, they're continuing to fix bugs, and they're excited for what's to come. Please look forward to more details we'll be announcing soon about Title Update 3, scheduled for release at the end of September. Announcing soon, maybe another update video coming your way. For our 4th title update this winter, on top of new monsters, we are also considering additional weapon-related endgame features. To me that sounds like a Safi Jiva situation or a Kulftar off. Could be reading into it, who knows. We'll continue to work hard to make your Monster Hunter Wilds as enjoyable as possible for hunters throughout the world. Thank you for your continued support. So I mean, now we have it. The main thing you need to know is from tomorrow, so long as you have HR 100 on your account, you're going to be able to take on the 9-star monsters and get your brand new talismans. Kind of a curveball that it works that way. The frenzy feature is going to continue to be obsolete, basically, and my prediction was wrong. Some people from livestream said that they thought it was going to be 9-star monsters, so if you are one of those people, make sure to let me know. I'll be making content on this and covering it when it releases tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe to see more. And let me know what you think about the brand new talisman system. Am I reading into it with the whole weapon skill thing? Because of course here it does mention, in terms of the decoration slots, that both weapon skills and armor skill decoration slots are included in that. Of course, weapon skill being the same wording as where it says weapon skills higher up, so maybe it's not quite as broken as I think. Either way, we'll find out tomorrow and I'll post an update video. Thanks for watching.